Welcome to our information session tonight. You can go ahead and put your questions in chat and we will respond to those after we've completed just a short overview of the program. And I have asked two of our students from the 2022 SURF cohort to join us tonight to also help with answering your questions. So Melissa Barak, who will be joining us a little bit later, and then Modar Joydari is here. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm Leanne Carson, and I'm the Clinical Partners Manager at the Interdisciplinary Health Sciences Institute, or IHSI, and I manage the Mayo Clinic SURF program on the Illinois campus. First, I want to tell you just about what the Alliance is. So the Mayo Clinic in Illinois Alliance was established in 2010 to promote a broad spectrum of collaborative research, to develop new technologies and clinical tools, and to design and implement novel education programs. The Alliance is an active and productive collaborative and is highly valued at both institutions. To date, there have been at least 70 active research collaborations, 50 grants proposals submitted, 15 federal grants awarded jointly, over 100 joint publications, and 7 patent disclosures. And hundreds of students from both organizations have benefited from the educational programs co-developed by the Alliance, one of which includes the week-long computational genomics course held in June each year. And we also have a graduate fellowship program, a research program, and the SURF PreSelection program. So the Alliance has sent over 100 undergraduates to Mayo Clinic to participate in the SURF program since it started. On the Illinois campus, the Alliance administratively resides in the Interdisciplinary Health Sciences Institute, and Deborah Miller manages all aspects of the Alliance, and I manage the education programs. So the reason you're here tonight is to learn about the Mayo Clinic SURF program. It's a prestigious but highly competitive undergraduate program that allows you to spend 10 weeks at Mayo Clinic conducting real-world hands-on research with some of the Mayo Clinic's top scientists and physician scientists. So you get the opportunity to become fully immersed in the research and the culture of one of the world's top medical centers. And you will meet and network with other SURFs from across the country. And many former SURF students have told this experience has provided them with opportunities to help them decide what their future career path is, and has given them experiences that they could not get on the Illinois campus. Because Illinois has an alliance with Mayo Clinic to advance healthcare research, technology, and education, Illinois is able to pre-select up to 7 outstanding students for fellowships. So, what is the pre-selection program? Thanks to the Alliance, we have the opportunity to offer this pre-selection program for Illinois students. So Mayo Clinic knows that Illinois students are some of the best and brightest and wants to ensure Illinois students are strongly represented in the SURF program each year. Our pre-selection process allows you the opportunity to apply to the SURF program and be selected before the general application process at Mayo Clinic. However, if not selected for the pre-selection process, you still have the opportunity to apply directly to the Mayo Clinic online application portal by February 1st. This is a photo of our 2022 cohort on the Mayo Clinic campus. And as you can see, our 2022 cohort included 10 students. And the largest cohort from Illinois in a single year had 14 students. So who is eligible? There are 3 eligibility criteria that you must meet. You must be undergraduate, currently in your sophomore or junior year. Freshmen are not eligible because you need to have completed at least 2 semesters at Illinois to apply for the pre-selection. and you cannot be graduating at the end of the spring 2023 semester. So you must still be an undergraduate student during the summer you are at Mayo. You should exhibit strong academic performance with a minimum of a 3.0 GPA, and you must be seriously considering a biomedical research career. A special note here, this is not a program for students who are interested in becoming an MD. So they really want you to be pursuing a research career, whether it's a PhD in biomedical research or an MD PhD. And lastly, because you are representing Illinois as a SURF student, we will ask you to commit to the Illinois SURF standards of professionalism and accountability. And we also have a few program requirements, which include attend Illinois orientation in late April or early May, which I hope to do in person this year, and participating in a SURF poster session at Illinois in September, and also completing an evaluation for us after the program is over. The first requirement is a personal statement, and this should explain why you want to be a biomedical researcher and the steps you've taken to achieve that goal. So this is generally about a page in length or 2 pages at most, and should explain your interests and experiences in biomedical research. There are no specific formatting requirements. Double space or single space is fine. Use standard fonts and sizes. Please do make sure your name appears at the top of the personal statement. And this is definitely part of the application that you want to spend time on. And it might even help if you have like a trusted friend or roommate review it for you and make comments to help improve the statement. Modar, did you have anything do you wanted to add about the personal statement?
Just like a little advice, definitely as stated on the slide, spend time on this. This is one of the strongest parts of your application, that you can show the people looking at it who you are. They're not just looking at grades or the GPA, but they're looking into who you are and what you stand for and stuff like that. So my biggest piece of advice would be do some research, look for what Mayo Clinic stands for, what their values are, and then align that with what your values are. So if you can do something like that so they can see what you are and how that can connect to their mission, I think that would be perfect.
Great, thank you. And a question, can we include our research interests in your personal statement? Yes, definitely. I think, that will help you get placed in a lab that you're more interested in. So definitely include personal interest in that statement. Okay, the other parts of the application process are a transcript. We require, you must upload a current transcript with your application. For the Illinois pre-selection process, we will take, the unofficial transcript, but Mayo Clinic does prefer an official transcript. However, they will accept the unofficial transcript as well. And then 2 letters of recommendation. Besides the, the personal statement, this is probably the most important part of the application. So 2 letters are required. Your application will be considered incomplete if only 1 is received. So these can be from professors, instructors, research mentors, etc. One note though, the letter writer must be at the graduate level or above, which means that we will not accept a letter from a teaching assistant, for example, who is still an undergraduate student. So, and we will accept letters of recommendation from outside the university. So if, for example, over the summer, you had a research experience at another institution, we will gladly accept a letter of recommendation from the person who mentored you during that experience. So just make sure that for the pre-selection process, all letters of recommendation are sent directly to me via email. Mayo does handle that differently, but they will provide instructions on how to do that when you submit your application. So, and I will say that a note on who should write the letter. I think as much as possible, someone who can speak to the skills you would bring to the SURF experience would be the best person. Also, if there's someone who knows what can speak to your research skills, I think that's helpful. And then, for example, if you have a professor who knows you well, a professor is probably, better choice than a teaching assistant, for example. But I think, again, it really comes down to selecting someone who knows you pretty well, knows your skills, and knows what you can bring to the experience. Modar, would you have anything to add to that?
I mean, yeah, just to go off what we were saying, someone who can kind of speak on your behalf, speak your story, tell the people looking at your application who you are and what type of person you are. Just like you said, yeah, research skills would also be great. So if you have a research professor, you're doing research at U of I at a lab, that would be a great person to ask.
Great, thank you. I also wanted to say the pre-selection application link will take you to a web tools form. And so one question asked in the form is Mayo Clinic campus preference. So please note that if you do select a specific campus, there's no guarantee that you'll be assigned to that campus. Mayo Clinic does handle all of the lab assignments for the SURF students. But I will say for the past 2 years, all Illinois students were assigned to the Rochester, Minnesota campus. Okay, so we do have a selection committee on our campus that reviews all of the applications and determines the top candidates. And then we will conduct brief interviews with the top candidates. And then from that list, 7 are selected as finalists. And all applicants will be notified of the committee's decision by January 9th. And so it's important to note that the pre-selection process at Illinois is separate from the Mayo Clinic application process. I do not forward your application materials or share them with Mayo Clinic at all. So therefore, the 7 pre-selected students will use the same application materials to complete the Mayo Clinic online application. And that's before the deadline of February 1st. But I will notify you of that, remind you of that at the time. And of course, if you did not advance during the pre-selection process, you may still apply directly to the Mayo Clinic formal online application system by the February 1st deadline. Okay, we do offer financial support. The Alliance will provide $6,000 to cover your living expenses during the 10-week program. You are responsible for your transportation to and from the Mayo Clinic campus and any other expenses. And you will receive housing information from Mayo Clinic, and there is also some information currently available on the Mayo Clinic SURF website. Okay, here are the important dates to keep track of for the 2023 cohort. So you can find these listed on the Alliance website at go.illinois.edu/MayoILSURF. So the pre-selection application deadline is November 7th at midnight. And finalists, as I mentioned, finalist interviews will be early December, dates to be determined. Everyone will find out the results of their application or their results of the selection process by January 9th. And if you're applying to Mayo Clinic, you need to do that by February 1st. And there's the dates of the 2023 SURF program. Don't delay. If you're going to apply, start the application process now and specifically request your letters of recommendation. To be honest, there are some people on campus who write several letters each year. And so you want to make sure that you're early on that list to make sure that they can get a letter into me. So start early and think about who you should ask to write those letters. Okay. Oops, as I said, I invited 2 students from our 2022 cohort. I don't think Melissa is here yet, but Modar is. So they can give you firsthand knowledge as to what it's like to be a SURF at Mayo Clinic and to answer questions. So we will head to the questions. Are the mentors supposed to send the letters? Okay. Yes, mentors send letters of recommendation directly to me, and that's lcarson@illinois.edu. My contact information is also available on the Illinois SURF website, on the Alliance SURF website. Yes, and it should be in PDF form, but they should send the letter to me. So, okay. I know in the past someone had asked, do you have to have research experience to apply? The answer is no, you don't, but your application will be much stronger if you have research experience. So if you do not, and you're still interested in applying, you can certainly apply, but I would say if you're not selected, and it would be in your best interest to get some research experience on campus and then apply next year. Modar, do you have anything to add to that?
Definitely agree with that. Coming into an institution like Mayo Clinic, just having some type of research experience in the background would be so beneficial, just to helping out your lab and working on things, because there's really there's no orientation. I mean, there is an orientation process, but they like to get you working right away, which is awesome. So you dive straight into it. So having just a little information and a little experience in the back of your head would be very helpful.
Great. Yeah, great. Thank you. Okay. So we have received a question, how do students get matched with labs? And Mayo Clinic does make that decision. But as we already mentioned, if you put your interest in your personal statement, that is, going to help them match you to the lab that matches your interests. Okay. All right. So, the experience, Modar, the question, do you get to shadow physician scientists during your experience? I know you can address that.
Yes, yeah, you 100% get to shadow physicians, which is arguably one of the greatest benefits you have and perks you have. Once you get there, they enter you into the Mayo system. You have a Mayo email, and you have access to every physician, and you are encouraged to email all physicians, anyone you're interested, any position you're interested, or any field of medicine that you're interested in, to ask them to shadow them, to just talk to them, ask them questions. So you definitely are, and you are encouraged to do that. So that's something you should definitely look out for.
Okay, thank you. So what does the weekly schedule in the program look like?
So it varies depending on the lab and what type of work you're doing. You don't really have a certain set amount of hours because it is research. So a lot of your work that varies on your experience and what you're doing, but you can expect to wake up in the morning around 8 a.m. Usually when most people arrive to the lab, and be there throughout the entire day. But they do focus on having a good work-life balance. So you're not going to see anyone at the lab from 8 until midnight all day. They want you to explore Rochester. So they do want you to focus on the research, have significant findings, and get that good data in. They also want you to go to the gym, discover Rochester. Every Thursday they have something called Thursdays on First, so you can go in and explore the local life. They have street vendors, concerts, all this cool stuff. So it's a typical week is a lot of work, but it's also a lot of fun. And especially coming from an institution like Illinois, when you have, at least 6 other people with you. For me, I had 9 other people. It was nice when I could just go back to a bunch of friends. We would get dinner sometimes, so that was nice. It's a rewarding week. That's the best way to say it. That's what a typical week is like.
That sounds great. What about weekends? Or do you ever have to work on the weekends, or are there any students that have had to work weekends that you
Yeah,
know of?
I usually did work most weekends, but again, I also know someone that didn't work any weekends. It really depends on what you're trying to get out of your summer, what your lab is expecting you to do, and it's honestly dependent on you. The more work that you're willing to take, your PI will recognize that and kind of give you more work. So I really wanted to get my hands dirty. I wanted to, be doing experiments. I was working in the dry lab. I also was writing articles. So I wanted to try everything, and then also shadowing doctors. So that's why I tried to stay busy. But if you want to take it easy the first couple weeks, definitely take your weekends off. That's how it's supposed to be. They definitely stress that having a good work-life balance is important.
Okay, thank you. So someone asked about, is there any you felt you should have known or had to know, like in basic topics or lab procedures before you started your fellowship?
Yeah. So one thing that I would strongly recommend is once you get assigned, hopefully everything goes well and you move past the process. Once you get assigned to a specific lab, Mayo will email you and tell you the name of your PI. I would strongly recommend reaching out to them and asking them what exactly is my plan for this summer. I was fortunate enough to have my PI reach out to me, but I've heard of many stories and I've made friends over the summer that told me they showed up day one and had no idea what they were doing at all. So I'd strongly recommend contacting your PI once you find out that you're in their lab and asking them, hey, what am I doing this summer? Can you send me some articles that I can read? And just coming in with that prepared already, it'll put you off to a great start.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent idea. Excellent suggestion. Put you off, on a good first step for sure, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, so what would you say? Why do you think students should do a Mayo Clinic SURF experience over other research experiences?
Oh, wow.
What sets Mayo Clinic apart from other summer research experiences?
Well, there's so much. I mean, if you want to get the full research experience, this is where you have to go. And this is where you have to apply. First of all, it's the cutting edge technology they have. And I think the biggest factor for me is their focus on the patient. If you have been in a research lab or even if you've just heard about research, it's sometimes very easy to get caught up in the science and the nitty gritty details and the chemicals and the pathways and the mechanisms. But at Mayo, while all of that stuff is really important, they always stress the end goal. And what is that end goal? It's also ultimately to help the patient. And so that's something that I really enjoyed there. And that's why you should definitely consider Mayo Clinic and your options when applying to these research fellowships.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's great. Also, it's just sort of the ultimate place for if you have an interest in healthcare or in health-based research. It's sort of the ultimate place to go for sure. And I think are uniquely positioned to talk about the Mayo Clinic culture. Can you tell everyone what you learned about the Mayo Clinic culture this summer?
Yeah. So, I mean, when I showed up, and I mean, I've told this story to Leanne, I've told this story to many people, but it was just really interesting showing up and talking to my PI for the first time and having her tell me that one of her main goals for the summer was just to teach me what the Mayo Way was. And I was initially confused on what exactly the Mayo Way is and what it had anything to do with, like, how could a hospital have its own way? I didn't really understand that, but over the summer that I was there, I began to realize how they just everything was oriented in the long-term view. Every little thing was adding up to ultimately help out the patient and play a role in enhancing the patient experience. And that was something that was really interesting and really special for me, because it made me realize all of this stuff at the end of the day, why we're doing it. That is why, to help them out, and yeah, just to offer the best possible experience we can, for our fellow humans.
Yeah, thank you. That's a great way to explain it. I definitely, at Mayo, patients come first. They obviously do research and education as well, but patients do come first at Mayo Clinic. So, and to sort of just wrap things up, how do you feel, I think the SURF program plans some group activities for all of the SURF students to attend during the summer. Can you talk about those or what those are like?
Yeah, those are really fun. So throughout the summer, the SURF program as a whole, all the 100-some students that are there in Rochester, will plan events like barbecues, and dinners, and just a lot of them are also educational events. So speaker series, every week we had one of those where we could go and learn about stuff. But there's also social events where we just go to the park, have popsicles, something like that. So it's really cool to meet other people. It's nice that we have kind of like a support cushion of fellow Illinois students. So we always have them to talk to, but it's also really nice venturing out and meeting people from New York, Los Angeles, Texas, all over the world, even international students. So it's cool to see that, and learn about their background, and all kind of endure this process together. So the social events are really cool as well.
Okay, and what did your cohort do this summer together?
We did multiple things. A common thing was going to dinner. So we definitely explore the food culture in Rochester. There was a lot of good places. I remember we went to this one place that had chicken sandwiches, but they were dusted with a hot Cheeto dust. So we were all really confused with that, but we all had to try it, just because, I mean, if you go somewhere and they have hot Cheeto dust chicken sandwiches, you can't say no to that. So it was good. We had ice cream a couple times. It's Rochester. It's a really nice town. There's a lot of cool different niches and things you can discover. You just got to go look for it. So on the outside, it's just Mayo, but on the inside, once you dive into it, there's a lot of cool stuff. You just got to venture out.
Yes, I agree. And to me, it sort of seems like, a campus, I mean, like Champaign-Urbana in many ways, but without a campus town per se. So it's a, not, I don't know about laid back, but it's definitely a nice community. And Mayo sort of sits at the center of it, pretty much. So yeah, it's a nice place to explore. So, okay, I did get a question. What is the interview experience like? And the interview, we will interview you for the Illinois PreSelection, but there is no interview process for the Mayo Clinic application. So, and the interview is basically just to find out, we'll ask you, what your career objectives are, ask you about your research experiences, why you want to do the SURF experience. So it's just sort of some basic questions to find out more about you. So it's low key. It's only about, 15 minutes or so. So that would not be anything to stress out about. So, well, as far as how to improve the application, again, I would say the most important parts, definitely work on your personal statement. Your career objective, why you want to be involved in biomedical based research, and what you're done to get there. and, talk about what skills you're going to bring to the program, that sort of thing. And then select people who know you pretty well and can write strong letters of recommendation for you. And that there's not much else to the application. So work on those things, and that will result in the strongest application. Well, I want to thank all of you attending, and I want to thank Modar for giving us some insights to the program that I can't give you. So that was very helpful. We appreciate it. And if any of you have questions after attending this session, feel free to reach out to me directly via email. Again, it's Leanne Carson, and it's lcarson@illinois.edu. So thank you all for attending.